I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions. Mr. Hernandez-Roy, a lot of interesting things that were said. Recent reports have indicated that the PRC has established and been operating a signals intelligence collection center in Cuba since 2019. Florida is home to a variety of military installations, sensitive military installations, is becoming an emerging technology leader, a financial services hub. There's so much going on there. Can you discuss what type of implications, security implications, that the PRC's collusion with Cuba, if these reports are true, what it actually means to the United States?
Well, the reports of some sort of spying activity in Cuba have been confirmed through a number of public sources, so I think we can take that for granted. The extent of the spying we don't know yet, at least we who look at it through the public information space. Having a signals intelligence operation in Cuba, it's based just south of Havana, 150 miles from U.S. mainland, is a significant threat, as it can collect information from the whole southeastern United States, in particular all of Southcom's activities in the south, and also CENTCOM in Tampa. So this would represent a significant threat, a significant gain for the Chinese in terms of their ability to monitor intelligence and monitor traffic of naval operations in the Caribbean, things of that nature. And it should be seen as a significant threat and a significant escalation on the part of the Chinese.
Well, thank you. This committee will be very active in understanding the depth of that threat and what it means to our homeland security, and I appreciate that. Ms. Dzinski, I'd like to focus on a couple of things when it comes to the southwest border. Number one, when we look at the fentanyl issue and understanding, we had a hearing recently, we examined the relationship between Mexican TCOs and Chinese crime syndicates and how these relationships enable the flow of fentanyl. Do you believe that the PRC is using America's fentanyl crisis as a gray zone tactic?
Thanks for the question. I think that at a minimum, there's passive engagement on the part of the PRC. They are well aware of the fentanyl challenge, and they're not doing much to help us stop that. Coordination from previous years has pretty much disappeared, even though there's a mound of evidence about the role of Chinese money laundering networks and manufacturers of precursor chemicals. So it's hard to understand why we can't engage more specifically on that issue, except that I think it's being viewed by the PRC as a strategic weapon against our country.
Wow. And you don't believe, in your recent article in the Miami Herald, you asserted that the U.S. must expose Chinese hidden hand in America's deadly fentanyl crisis, which you just alluded to, the money laundering aspect. So you believe we should be doing more as a whole of government approach.
Yes, exactly. The money laundering piece of this is critical. If we follow the money, I think we'll actually have an easier time addressing some of these challenges because it's so hard to interdict at the border. Fentanyl pills are small. They're mistaken for other types of commodities. It's extremely difficult to find them. Having said that, I know our Border Patrol is doing a better job, and our customs interdiction is doing a better job locating it. But having said that, following the money is probably the most important thing that we can do. There's been quite a bit written about the complexity of these money laundering operations, and what's unique about it is that there's this seamless flow between China, Mexico, and the U.S., and the role of money launderers here, Chinese money launderers working in the U.S. and selling U.S. dollar proceeds to Chinese nationals who want access to that money. It's incredible. So I'm happy to go into more detail on how that works, but I do think that this is the most important vector for us to look at.
Let me quickly jump to a related subject. There's no question in my mind that the PRC is exploiting the crisis at our southern border. It was reported yesterday that in this fiscal year, 127 people have entered this country apprehended, that's not gotaways, that have matched the terror watch list. Is the PRC exploiting the crisis at our southern border for their own personal gain?
I think we should assume that any vulnerabilities at our southern border are open for authoritarian influence of many kinds. I think that's a safe assumption. If the gaps are there, then those who are working against us are going to use them to their advantage.
Thank you.